Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review in progress of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So this is just a quick video. I've done the first 2 hours of this game, which is the Steam refund window, right? So it's long enough, at least according to Steam's policy, for you to make judgment on whether this is a game that you'd want to play or not. And this way I can cover games as they come out at least a little bit and then pick and choose what I will review in full. Chances are I will actually review this entirely because I'm enjoying it. I'm actually really enjoying it. It's really fun. And before you click off, because you're looking for negative reinforcement bias or positive or whatever, it's got red flags in it as well. So there are some problems, but I truly am having a really good time, and I would say that the good outweighs the bad. And look, I just front load that and say that straight away because that's what's going on right now. As much as I hate the establishment shill review houses, I really hate the negative click back. Everything is just miserable and we hate everything counterculture that you see on YouTube these days. Google this game and just about every result you're gonna get is how it's shit, it's disrespectful, there's like a leaked part of the ending or whatever, and everyone's taking everything out of context and just passing judgment. And to be honest, a lot of people I really think wanted to hate this game and are finding reasons to hate it, and it's driving clicks, and it's driving the sort of influencer market. I'll address a few things that I've figured out so far, and also, I am absolutely willing to do a 180 on my take if I play it for even longer and it goes down the tube and turns to shit. I'll update that, right? But for now, the gameplay loop, which I suppose is king, that's the most important thing. Start there. The gameplay loop is really fun. There's a lot of wild aerial combo chaining, launching with melee attacks and then turning it into auto crits and that. So like fundamentally, there is a reward loop that encourages you to interact with the different elements of the fighting style. And I don't actually know what the staff is like over at Rocksteady, but I really do feel the DNA of what made the Batman games great here. You just sort of got to ask yourself, like, step outside the narrow scenario, dare I say, of the Arkham trilogy, because they were sequels and, you know, continuations of an established loop. And it's like, how would you do that if you took 4 characters who aren't Batman with different skill sets, but you still carry over sensibilities that were developed and established in the Batman games, i.e. the brawler combo chaining, very gamified but fun, tactile combat that you got from Batman's brawling, but then also the mobility that you get from that as well. And it feels like that. In fact, I don't want to say it's better than the original game. It's not, but if you wanted to try and evolve that, trying to combine the two together would be a reasonable step. And so even though it's not necessarily brawling, it's kind of hybrid shooting brawling. The brawling component is more for launching dudes. But there's also things like if you shoot dudes into a stun state in the legs, they will become like a shield regeneration if you then melee. So there's a back to front shoot then melee, but then there's also if you melee them while they're airborne and you can snap lock on, there's a very generous auto aim, it turns into auto crits as well. So you can actually start the chain back to front. There's counter shots, enemies telegraph, but they're shooting much the same as the counter situation that you would get in the Batman brawling. And you press like aim and right bumper instead of right trigger. But more importantly, while you have sort of long traversal for all the characters, I don't know how else to describe it, it's more like your right bumper ability. You also have your left bumper, which is more dashy, dodgy, smaller stuff, which is supposed to be woven into the combat flow. And look, in motion, watching it without touching it, you might be a bit put off by it, because all these dudes have like triple jumps and they can fly around the screen and all that. It's all pretty wild. But in actual motion, with your hands on the controls, it feels really fun. The 4 characters are actually different enough to make you potentially pick a favorite, but they're not radically different as well. It is mostly just in their mobility and how they move around. I'm gonna light spoilers because I feel like people that are set against this game can be brought back with some sort of anecdotal evidence. So to be clear, if you're sold, if you just trust me on face value and you're going to go against the sort of populist grain that's telling you this game is dog shit and you're just going to buy it, well, maybe stop the video now. Just go buy it and play it and enjoy it. But if you're sitting on that fence and you still need a little bit more convincing, like I said, I'm going to go some light spoilers to give you an idea. For example, One of the things that stuck out to me looking at the thing, I don't know a whole lot about all the characters. Deadshot's got like a rocket pack. This shark dude can jump and all that, and I guess Captain Boomerang can fly around a bit. But I saw Harley Quinn, and I'm like, why the fuck is she moving around like Batman? And within the sort of opening hour, your characters are sprung out of jail and with a really clever sequence to get the bombs in their heads, a la Suicide Squad. Kind of a team building exercise in a way that turns into a credit roll, and it's just actually quite wonderful. All grounded in Arkham Asylum, looking like the old Arkham games, feeling like the old Arkham games. This is not an Arkham game in name only, which people are complaining about and reckon it's going to ruin the legacy. So far, everything it's shown me is that it is a true fourth Arkham game, in the same way that like The Dark Knight Rises is a Batman 20 years later game. Like this feels like an Arkham game from the perspective of irredeemable criminals, but it feels like that universe. Anyway, you essentially go into the Hall of Justice and set up camp there, and that's where the Justice League bloody hang out, and there's all sorts of things on display, but you kind of break in and you steal sort of legacy gear, right? And so that's how Harley Quinn has this drone grapple situation, that she's got Batman gadgets. Deadshot pinched a rocket pack that's not actually his, and he's kind of awkward getting used to it. And then bloody Captain Boomerang got a experimental thing from some character I don't know because I'm not a comic book nerd, kind of tapping into Flash's force. And I guess the King Shark dude just has supernatural powers and can jump. My point is, these things in the marketing that you look at, and I almost think they were self-aware. They were like trying to drive controversy around this marketing, but I looked at it and I scoffed. But at the same time, it actually makes sense and it's explained fairly well. Other points worth mentioning. The characters' humor is non-stop. It is 4 characters screaming and barking at each other all the time. And you know what? It hits more than it misses. However, it does miss, right? I hate chatty Cathy characters that never shut up and never stop talking, protagonists that talk to themselves. So imagine timesing that by 4, and that's exactly what you get here. However, it's more often than not, it's not actually that bad. It's not all that cringy. Interestingly, because again, I don't know a lot about these characters, I would have thought the shark dude was going to be the token dickhead. Smash. He's not really, actually. He's fairly clever. He does have Drax-like from Guardians of the Galaxy behaviors in that, he kind of calls it straight and misses a lot of human idioms and inferences, but he's fairly clever and inquisitive. He's actually, he's not what you probably expect going in. The token dickhead for the group is Captain Boomerang, and he's actually hilarious. I think a lot of Australians who have their heads up their own arse are going to get cranky about him or his representation or whatever. No. He bangs out some absolute blinder jokes, and he's the idiot basically of the group that does dumb things all the time. When someone accuses him of drinking lead paint growing up, and his response is, "Yeah, so." So some of the things actually made me laugh really, really hard. However, the other 2 characters, Deadshot strikes me as a insufferable, self-insert writer cuck. He's got insecurities, talks to himself, got a deep breathing and all that, right? Like, I think they're attempting to use him as a vector to humanize them, which I think is dangerous. I already don't love the Suicide Squad as a concept or even the movies terribly much. So they're trying to make him into some sort of, relatable character to people that are perpetually in therapy and carry victim cards around with them. So he's sort of, I guess they're trying to channel the Jerry Seinfeld everyman through him, and it makes sense to have that. And when he's not cringe, he's okay, but that's the point. He's supposed to be kind of pedestrian and boring, but he does throw in this sort of bloody cheerleader attitude which gives you the shits a bit. Harley actually drops some banger jokes that knock me off my chair sometimes about how they're going in through the back door, and that's one of her favourite adult movies that she's seen. However, in the 2 hours I've played, she's mentioned gentrification twice, and while everyone else was happy to have their classic uniforms that were found in storage, she turned up her nose and had to get something fashion forward. So it's red flagging a bit. It's adding up a little bit. I might have found a sign saying "We welcome all heroes" in the justice in the Hall of Justice with the gay trans sex flag. Again, whatever. You do you in your walks of life, but intentionally putting things like this in the game is a dog whistle, and it is used to manipulate and drive clicks. It's trying to upset the people that don't like that flag, and it's trying to get people to go on Reddit and engage because the flag's in it. But then you have people like me, and I'd like to think that there's a chunk of us out there that sit somewhere else that look at it and see it as a marketing ploy using useful idiots. So yeah, look, there's red flags in here. This video is going a little bit longer, but there are a couple of things to talk about. One last thing, actually, and this is going into slightly heavier spoiler, but it's still early. Again, beware and listen if you need more convincing. Here's the thing. Not all the Justice League, I've warned you, not all the Justice League starts off bad. At the beginning, you're trying to get Flash, you're trying to get him out, because Flash is still fighting the good fight against Green Lantern, and they have a big biffo, and it's really, really cool, and you feel the Arkham verse. It is bittersweet, because we kind of know where this game's going and what collision course it's on, and we've only ever seen Batman, really. And now I'm excited to see Superman, because I haven't seen him yet, but watching Flash and Lantern biff, and I don't want to go into it too much, but like Boomerang thwarts some of Flash's behaviors because he's his arch nemesis. Flash seems like a really good guy. There is a point where Batman is about to execute Harley Quinn with a gun, and Flash, who is like on the ropes, beaten to shit, almost comatose, jumps up and knocks him out of the way and knocks the bullet and saves the day. My point is, while people are looking at the selectively picked leaked clips and discourse around this game, what I've seen so far is actually doing a lot of justice to like characters like the Flash. I've only really seen him for 2 hours, and already he's fucking cool. He's a good guy. He's risking everything to try and even save people like Harley Quinn, and it works really well. Anyway, so look, these are my impressions so far. It's really fun, and I'm actually really interested to see where the narrative goes, because yes, there seems to be some fashion-forward modern gamer bullshit thrown in here, true, but also I can feel in the mechanics and in the narrative and constructions, with Flash being a great example, of this being actually quite true to the Arkham universe, or to the Arkham series and the characters, and it very much still seems to be celebrating heroes, at least in the beginning, before they all get brainwashed, I guess. So look, this video is already going on a little bit long for what is supposed to be just an early kind of impressions video. I do plan on playing through it because I'm enjoying it. There's so much to play at the moment, Yakuza games and all that sort of stuff, but I'm sure this is a controversial video in the fact that I choose not to choose a side. On one hand, this game is really fun. The mechanics are fun. They feel like they were made by Rocksteady, and it's what happens when you take Batman Combat and you turn it into a 4-player co-op brawler shooter. It's got all the fundamentals in there. The narrative also seems very much true, and so far pretty kind of respectful, even though we're on a collision course for what is probably going to be a miserable ending. So there's that side. I'm praising that so far. And then there's the other side. There seems to be some progressive nonsense crap jammed in there as well, which is kind of gross. And if you, on principle, don't want to buy into that sort of stuff, will probably not play this game. And whatever, fair enough. So that's my position. I'm going to play it, I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to call it out for the crap that they jam in it as well. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm sure this is spicy and it's going to upset everybody. But bad luck. It's my channel and it's my take on the game, and I'm not going to buy into negative farming of clickbait, and I'm also not going to lie when I like a game despite the negatives. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.